What if you had to fast, but the sun never set? No night, no sunset, just endless daylight. For most of the world, Ramadan is guided by the simple rhythm of dawn and sunset, a cycle over 1 billion people follow to fulfill their faith. But in the Arctic Circle, where the sun can remain above the horizon for weeks, this rhythm disappears entirely. Imagine waking up at 3 a.m. to a sky so bright it blinds your eyes, only to realize that 14 hours, 20 hours, even 40 hours later, the sun hasn't moved. How do you mark the end of your fast when the world around you refuses to darken? In cities like Tromsø, Norway, and Reykjavik, Iceland, Muslim communities face a challenge that is as physical as it is spiritual. The midnight sun creates an impossible environment for fasting. The body never receives the natural signals of night. Sleep is disrupted, and the stomach cannot anticipate a clear time to eat. For families and students, it becomes a clash between nature and faith, a test of endurance that requires more than willpower. It demands innovation, adaptation, and a deep understanding of religious intention. History shows that Islam has always adapted to extreme environments. Centuries ago, the traveler Ahmad ibn Fadlan noted that the Viking North experienced unusually long days, a natural puzzle for devout worshippers far from Arabia. Today, the Arctic Muslims continue that legacy. They do not abandon their faith, they translate it into a new language that the land itself understands. Communities rely on timetables from Mecca, nearby cities, or Islamic centers to structure their fasts. Blackout curtains simulate night, alarms replace the setting sun, and clocks dictate prayer times instead of shadows. Families gather in small apartments, homes, and community centers, often with limited space, preparing the pre-dawn meal, suhoor, while outside the sun gleams relentlessly. Children ask, "When will we eat?" And parents explain that in this land, the fast is measured by intention, not light. In Tromsø, a single call to prayer echoes through a quiet street lined with colorful houses, a stark contrast to the endless white sky above. The challenge is not just spiritual, it is deeply human, forcing residents to reimagine the rhythm of their lives in harmony with faith. So here's the question. If you lived in a place where the sun never sets, how would you observe Ramadan? Could you honor centuries of tradition while defying the natural order? Could devotion survive in a world where time itself seems broken? The Arctic Muslims answer yes. They have learned to bend rules without breaking them, to turn impossibility into routine, and to find meaning where others see only endless light. Their story is just beginning. For Adnan, a Syrian refugee in northern Finland, the Arctic sun was a relentless teacher. On his first Ramadan, the sun hovered above the horizon like a glowing eye, refusing to yield. He tried to fast according to the literal daylight, and by the third day, his hands shook, his vision blurred, and exhaustion set in. The natural signals his body relied on, darkness, rest, and hunger, had vanished. It was a brutal reminder that faith is tested not only by devotion, but by circumstance. Medical science confirms the danger. When humans are exposed to constant daylight, the body's circadian rhythm falters. Melatonin drops, sleep cycles collapse, and dehydration can occur if fasting stretches beyond normal limits. Yet Islamic principles emphasize ease and preservation of life. Scholars instruct that in extreme latitudes, fasting may follow the timetable of the nearest city, or even Mecca, and may be shortened to prevent harm. Adnam's community embraced this guidance, turning intention into structure. A clock replaced the sun, blackout curtains created night, and suhoor and iftar became precise, scheduled rituals. The challenge extends beyond timing. Preparing food for iftar is an exercise in adaptation. Families in Tromsø, Reykjavik, and Anchorage cannot rely on communal celebrations like in Damascus or Cairo. Ingredients are limited. Halal meat is flown across frozen seas, and groceries must be carefully planned. Still, Muslims preserve the essence of the ritual. Dates, water, and traditional dishes connect them to a global community. Even the simplest meal becomes a sacred act, a quiet defiance against isolation. Faith here takes new forms, echoing the centuries-old Sufi tradition of silent Zikr, where devotion exists in quiet reflection. Alone or in small groups, families pray together in whispers, hearts synchronized with intention rather than sound. Children learn verses quietly, parents guide them by example. In this extreme environment, spiritual practice becomes tactical. Visibility, noise, and routine must all be measured carefully to maintain balance between physical survival and religious observance. The adaptation extends into daily life. Work, school, and errands are coordinated around the fast. Social gatherings are small and intentional, maintaining community while respecting the unusual rhythm of the Arctic sun. Technology becomes a lifeline. Prayer apps, GPS Qibla guides, and digital calendars ensure that even without darkness, the obligations of faith are fulfilled. In this extraordinary fusion of discipline and flexibility, Muslims in the Arctic demonstrate that faith is not bound by geography, daylight, or impossibility. It thrives when people commit to sustaining it. Ramadan in the Arctic is more than a test of endurance. It is a lesson in resilience, creativity, and the power of human intention. Every meal, every whispered prayer, every calculated adjustment becomes an act of devotion. Here, faith adapts to survive, and survival itself becomes a testament to belief. As Ramadan draws to a close in Tromsø, Reykjavik, and Anchorage, the Arctic sun still blazes above the horizon, indifferent to the rhythms of faith. Yet for Muslim families, the end of fasting is marked not by darkness, but by intention. Homes are prepared for Eid al-Fitr. Blackout curtains simulate night. The table is laid with simple but meaningful dishes: dates, pastries inspired by Syria and Iraq, and warm tea brewed with care. Children awake excitedly, their laughter echoing in apartments where light never fades. The physical environment may be surreal, but the heart of the celebration remains unchanged: gratitude, reflection, and community. Across these northern cities, small mosques and Islamic centers have become focal points. Families gather for prayer, sitting shoulder to shoulder, their voices rising softly in unison, bridging the gap between centuries-old traditions and extreme geography. In Reykjavik, a handful of families join a communal Eid prayer in a rented hall, exchanging greetings, hugs, and smiles. In Tromsø, neighbors share plates of homemade dishes, offering hospitality to newcomers and tourists curious about this extraordinary adaptation of faith. Every meal and every prayer strengthens bonds that daylight alone cannot define. The challenges of Arctic living have created a uniquely resilient Muslim identity. Food scarcity, extreme light, and disrupted sleep cycles have forced communities to plan meticulously, creating routines that respect both religious law and human limits. Technology, often a mundane part of daily life elsewhere, becomes vital here. Apps guide prayer times, digital clocks dictate sahur and iftar, and online community groups coordinate shared celebrations. Adaptation does not diminish devotion. It enhances it, transforming limitations into opportunities for creativity and connection. Yet, the most profound aspect of this Arctic Ramadan is psychological. Families report a heightened sense of mindfulness. Every bite, every whispered prayer, every moment of fasting is consciously observed. The struggle against the endless sun becomes a metaphor for spiritual perseverance. When the natural order does not cooperate, humans find new ways to honor the divine. The Arctic Muslims have learned that faith is not defined by visible signs of day and night, but by intention, adaptability, and the commitment to community. The story of Ramadan and Eid in the Arctic proves that devotion can thrive in any environment. Faith survives when people refuse to surrender to circumstances. Tradition endures when the heart prioritizes meaning over mechanics. And even in the light of a sun that never sets, the spirit of celebration, of gratitude, reflection, and resilience shines brightly. If this story inspired you, subscribe now to join the Fact Finder community, where we uncover extraordinary tales of human perseverance, hidden faith, and cultural adaptation from every corner of the world. From the Arctic to war zones, deserts to mountains, the human spirit always finds a way to endure. And we're here to bring those stories to you.